So I was living here in New York and read an article about Bakari running and was really kind of captivated by the fact that he was going to do this. I thought it was kind of daring and thought about it and, forgot about it. And then it just kept coming back to me that he was going to do this. And I knew that if I didn't go down there and something amazing happened, that I would regret it. And I also knew that regardless of if he won or lost, that it was going to be a great story. Bakari's father is someone I've known about for a really long time, growing up in South Carolina, and I thought his story was going to be a really interesting and important way to look at that legacy. So I called him up one day, and he said yes.
I said yes because of Emily's mother, honestly. It wasn't because of Emily, but her mother
I love
actually...
that.
Yeah, no, it's okay, don't worry. Her mother taught me in high school. And when you run a campaign, what most people don't know is I don't really want people to see this part of us. No one wants to see you like on the brink of sickness. No one wants to see you preparing for debates. No one wants to see those inner workings. And we weren't too thrilled about Emily being in all of those places. But there was a trust factor that was gained. And I tell people everywhere I go that I never knew Emily was going to be this amazing, and she's turned out to be a superstar. And so I was glad that she had faith in me, and I'm glad that I had faith in her. And that's usually how this faith thing works out.
Well, Bakari, I feel like you've probably seen the film a few times now, but do you get a new perspective on it every time you watch it?
No, I'm emotional, so I cry, so I don't even watch it. I was around the corner having a beer. I hope y'all enjoyed it. No, it's a great insight to what you have to go through, and what the story doesn't tell is that I was trying to be the first African American elected official from South Carolina since 1876, which is a long time. The same race I lost, Tim Scott won, and you have to give him a round of applause for being able to achieve that goal. Although we are on different policy tracks, to say the least. But what this film entailed for me even more so is that you can be from a small town, that you can be black or brown or just have big dreams, that you can come from communities where around you is impoverishment, but it doesn't mean that you have to settle. It doesn't mean that you cannot achieve amazing things. And even though I lost that race, I always tell people I fell up. You don't always have to fall down. And so this film has covered some of that. I'm looking forward to what Emily covers in part 2.
All right, I'd love to open it up to the audience for some questions. Don't feel shy. Yes, Maria.
I wanted to ask you, in this political climate, after this midterm elections, what do you think would be a way for Democrats to retake the Congress also, the Senate, and to elect a president that is,
Yeah.
we call that name?
Just repeat it back real quick.
Yeah, she asked me what will it take to retake the House and the Senate, and for Democrats that... Is Diane here by any chance? No, Diane sent me a text. She's one of
our producers.
She's one of the executive producers, and she texted...
Producers.
Yeah, what did I call her?
Executive producer. They're different.
I don't know. It's like, are you a lawyer or a lawyer? I'm a lawyer. And so yes, this film is very timely because I think that there was a big emotional connection. And a lot of people felt some sort of way. I think many of you all in the audience felt some sort of way when you saw Beto lose. And you saw on election night Stacey not come out on time. And you saw Andrew not come out on time. And the wind was taken out of your sails. But then you saw that Democrats took back the House. And you saw the Democrats won 7 gubernatorial races. And not only that, but they took over 7 state legislatures. We have our first Native American members going to the United States Congress.
2 women.
2, exactly. Okay, you gonna steal my speech? You had 2 women going. You have your first openly gay governor of a state in Colorado. And so you look at all of these things. You have 100 women across the country who are just storming into the Capitol. And there was a wave. We had this emotional attachment to 3 people. But those 3 people are the reasons that we had this wave. And I tell people all the time, without Abrams, without Gillum, without O'Rourke, then we all voted for them, even though we couldn't in their respective states. People were going out around the country and casting ballots for these individuals, although we couldn't necessarily vote for them. They built this energy, and because they built this energy and they didn't win, they brought so many people with them. The best story to tell is Lucy McBath. And many of you all don't know Lucy, but Lucy is an amazing tale. Her son Jordan Davis was murdered in 2012 at a gas station because his music was too loud. And that was this individual's defense, and gunned him down. She's a mother of the movement. Now she's a United States congressperson from the 6th District of Georgia. All of that happens because of these stories that are told. All of that happens because of Emily's work, being able to highlight these stories. And although Andrew didn't win, and Stacey didn't win, and Beto didn't win, they still won. And although I didn't win my race, I feel like without chipping away at that glass, that other people wouldn't have been able to climb on there as well.
Other questions out in the audience? I know you have them. Yes.
What's with the accents in South Carolina? You don't sound like none of them sound like you guys.
Oh, what's with the accent?
Why don't I sound like that accent? Do you sound like you're from Orangeburg?
No.
She doesn't even know where Waffle House is right now.
I do too. I just don't like it.
Oh, you don't like Waffle House?
No, it's gross.
Have you been to? Well, this partnership worked until tonight. Have you been to a Waffle House, sir?
No.
You've never been to a Waffle House? Okay. Let me. So Waffle House is an amazing epicenter. It was actually in Fulton County Stadium. I'm a Braves fan. Before they moved out and gentrification moved all the way out to where the MARTA doesn't run anymore, they actually had a Waffle House in right field. This is a true story. And you can go in, you get your hash browns smothered and covered, which means onions. This is deeper than most of you all want to know. But this is Southern culture. My accent is what it is. My mother worked on TV in Greensboro. My dad, of course, as you saw a little bit in the story, is what he is. Her mother taught me, and so I don't know if I still have an accent. I try to keep it. I try to hold on to it, because the South is where it is cool to be right now. Where's yours?
This is a little bit of an embarrassing story. I used to have a very, very thick Southern accent. And my parents, who were not from South Carolina, they were Yankees, would take me to visit family, and they couldn't understand me. And so my parents were like, we got to deal with this. So I was in speech therapy for 7 years.
To get rid of the accent. Now she
pretty much gone.
Now she speaks Brooklyn.
Yes.
Will you run again?
Sure. I'm hopeful to be running for office again soon. I run into the same problems that many African American elected officials run into, many talented people in the South, is that my congressman has been there since 1992. He's very good. He'll be the third. Again, he'll be the highest ranking member of Congress. He'll be the majority whip, I'm assuming, in 2 or 3 weeks when they come back in power. And so you kind of have to, it's a lot of questions that go through your head. Do you challenge? Do you wait? What do you do? Those type ideals. And so we're weighing all of those things. It's the same thing that happens in Benny Thompson's district, or Elijah Cummings' district, or Charlie Randall's district, which did not happen the way that Charlie had anticipated it happening. And so these things happen. And so we'll see. I think that the Democratic Party's leadership is older. It's stale. And I hope to be a part of the future of the party. But I'm going to keep pushing and pushing without throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because there's a lot that can be garnered from that. But we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Thank you both for your work, Bakari. I can't wait to support you on a bigger national stage.
Thank you.
Emily, I'm wondering, since you crafted a story where you kind of like you knew the end, we all knew the end, at least of this part of the story already. So how did you make it so? What did you do to make it so compelling and keep us on the edge of our seats, even though we knew?
Did you know I was going to do this?
I wasn't sure. Actually, so one of the things that's really interesting when you're with a campaign, you're in the bubble And so even though you know what the numbers are, you still really feel like there's a chance. And that was one of the things that experiencing it, going into it, I knew this was going to be super uphill. And I was seeing the numbers and, you know, seeing the news reports and whatnot, but you still really feel like you're going to win. And I think because that's the attitude that we had when we were filming, that's what we captured. And so, especially when we were crafting election night, that election night scene, it was really important to us that we show early on that it was looking really good. Because we do want you to be on the edge of your seats, hoping that there's going to be a different outcome. Yes?
Me? Mm-hmm. Oh, what made you decide to include images of Donald Trump in your film?
That was a hard choice. We thought about leaving him out completely, but we also knew that it would be hard. He's kind of an elephant in the room, and so we could totally ignore it and not put it in the film, and then, you know, audiences might wonder why isn't he there. We were also very aware that this was going to be coming out 4 years after the campaign, and so we wanted to make sure we were still current. And I think the biggest thing was knowing where Henry McMaster was with Donald Trump, seeing that he was the first elected official to endorse him, seeing that then when Nikki Haley became part of the cabinet, that McMaster became governor, and understanding that South Carolina context to national context.
So I'm actually glad it's there because I think that viewers are able to see a contrast, and I think that regardless, I mean, Donald Trump may win in 2020, right? I'm going to work damn hard to ensure it doesn't happen, but I mean, everyone who heed and hawed and hummed and said no in this room were the same people who that believed that Donald Trump would be president in 2016, right? And so that's where I was as well. And so I think that the juxtaposition and the contrast between where we want our country to be, and hopefully that is emulated through my actions in the film and where the country is, which is Donald Trump, is profound. Yes, ma'am.
I have two factual questions in addition to signing on to your next campaign. I'm quite serious. In certain states, if you are an elected official, you don't need to resign in order to run. Is that why you had to leave the state house?
No,
That's the first question.
Okay. Ask the second one too.
The second one is, we all watched how Alabama turned around and voted Democrat because of all the women who voted, and we saw just a little bit about the percentages of how the race fell for you and McMaster. But I wondered about the number of women who voted and how those figures worked out.
So two things. One, I made a very conscious decision to get out of the state house after 8 years. I didn't have to give up my seat.
You didn't have to give up.
No. Some seats you do, because you can't run for 2 seats at one time. I made a conscious decision because I figured if I was going to make this leap of faith, then I was going to have to take voters with me, and I was going to have to, because at the time when I ran this race, it was the first time that governor and lieutenant governor, the last time that governor and lieutenant governor were run separately. And if I was going to have this leap of faith, I wanted voters to lead with me. I think it was probably worth 0.25% of a vote. May not have been the best decision in the world, but I'm also glad I'm not in the state house anymore. So that's first. And the second thing is, women voters can be drilled down to something even more specific. When you look at Andrew Gillum, when you look at Beto O'Rourke, when you look at Stacey Abrams, when you look at Hillary Clinton, white college-educated women abandoned them in droves. My race was indicative of that as well. And so I thought I ran a race that would be palatable and allow white college-educated women to come over and support me. That was a group we were banking on. That was a group Hillary Clinton was banking on. That was a group that Beto and Stacey and Andrew were banking on. 76% of college-educated white women in this country, they decided they were going to vote for Brian Kemp over Stacey Abrams.
I can't believe it.
Well, neither can I, but that's not.
But I'm a New Yorker.
But I don't have the audacity to understand, to believe that I have that.
But I'm a New Yorker and I've never been further south than Virginia and West.
Well, it's a little different. It's a little, you haven't had a Waffle House. I mean, this is where this whole conversation stems around Waffle House. And until everyone has a smothered and covered hash brown, this country will not change. I think we have two more. We have one and then, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So I would imagine on the campaign trail, you're talking to a lot of people that already are on board. A lot of the rooms you're entering, people there already want to hear what you have to say. That's part of why they're there. But when it comes to kind of reaching those people that are on the fence, do you have any sense of, what was it that could really change someone's mind?
That's a tough question. I mean, because then you're asking a legitimate question. You're asking a question that the David Axelrods and the Karl Rose get paid so much money to determine, right? So the question is, in like 2020, just to kind of drill down on your question in 2020 would be, do we focus on the white working class individuals who voted for Barack Obama and Donald Trump, or do we focus on swelling our base among the individuals in the country that will be, for example, those first-time voters, those young voters, those Hispanic voters, those brown voters? And so you kind of get in this kind of where do we land? For me in my campaign, what we tried to do was we knew that we didn't have enough time or money, because money is the epicenter of all politics. And even if you take Citizens United away, you still have to have resources to go out and register voters and do those things. And so we try to convert voters. We try to convert those voters who were in the center, those white voters who, were moderates. And so it didn't work, apparently. That's why I'm here before you today. And so that is a very, very, very interesting question. And every room I went in, if it was a room this big, and let's say there are 100 people in this room, I would want to energize these 100 people. Now, I don't know what I would say at the time, but I would want to give them a hope, a sense of tomorrow, a sense of future, a sense of contrast between me and Henry, so that they could go out and be 100 apostles. That means when they go to their churches or synagogues, when they go to their schools, when they're in their, some of y'all play gin rummy, when they're in whatever group it may be, they are able to go out and advocate for me to be that epicenter of change. Because at the end of the day, with the resources, and we raised a lot of money, we just didn't raise enough, you rely on other people. And so that's going to be, you asked a question that's going to be, do you want a fighter in Michael Avenatti, or do you want someone who can implement change? Those are kind of the choices, and I hope you choose change.
And we've got time for one more question. Yes.
Would you ever run for president?
Of what?
United States of America.
If I do, you'll be there to cover it. But I can also tell you that it's tough. I've in 2005, 6, when I got elected, I was with a young man named Barack Hussein Obama, who's another skinny guy with a funny name. I was with him when he had dark hair. I used to babysit Sasha Malie on buses and on planes throughout the country. I was the youngest black elected official, youngest state legislator in the country, and I did those things. Barack Obama in 2012 couldn't even recapture what he had in 2008. And so I don't know the answer to that question. It's a very tough question to answer because that's a daunting task. And I want somebody who's more deliberate being president of the United States than somebody who just runs through glass doors. But I am looking forward to Deval Patrick running for president. I am looking forward to Kamala Harris. I am looking forward to Cory Booker. I'm looking forward to Sherrod Brown and maybe even to Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren. I'm looking to a wide swath of individuals running for president of the United States. And maybe one day in the future, Bakari Sellers will be one of them. But right now, we need to be focused on, we got through 2018. And we need to be focused on changing our country. There's some races in 2019. There's some races in 2018 that ain't even over yet. And you have Mississippi that you need to pay attention to. And we'll see what happens. Life is fickle. Life is funny. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you.